Good morning, lazy. Wait, Matt. You're supposed to be. We have a podcast. Matt, you there? Hey, Matt.
Chris.
Matt.
Hey.
We got a podcast to do, man. Now your video stopped.
Am I late? Oh my gosh.
You are. Yeah, let's go.
Oh, okay. All right. Whew. All right, let's go.
Should I meet you outside? I mean, what do you want to do here? Your video stopped. There you are. There you go. Wow, that was fast.
All right.
Wait. Why did you get dressed so quickly? Let's just meet downstairs.
I'm sleep in my lazy lab gear, buddy. You never know when the lazy lab hunting club will strike back.
There you are. It looks like.
Oh. It's good to see you.
All right. We recording? Yeah. All right. I'll let you do the intro, buddy.
Well, good morning, lazy labbers. Sorry about that false start. This guy here didn't get his butt out of bed. You just can't teach this kind of thing.
I'm an old man, Chris.
Yeah.
You know, I'm tired, and I felt like a long flight from California early this morning, right? But surprisingly, I wasn't in California, so
Indeed.
It's pure laziness on my part. I apologize.
So we have the benefit of having Matt here in Texas today. He came up this week to do some interviews, to do some meet and greets, to do some surveys. You're going on a survey today to check something out?
Yes, we are. So as we continue to grow as Lazy Lab Hunting Club, and with all of the support that we've had here in Texas specifically, we are going to do a couple of site surveys later on this morning, hopefully to conduct our very first Trap and Ski fundraising event in calendar year 23. So no promises yet, but time that we've ever done something like this. So we're going to go speak to some ranch management. Right now, as it's known throughout the United States, people are flocking to Texas from California, Virginia, all over the
Guilty
as charged.
California born and raised, and now here I am in the San Antonio metro area. My family, we felt the need to relocate, and we did that about 6 months ago. Hopefully you'll be joining us here in the great state of Texas at some point in the near future.
At some point, we'll see when I retire from the Navy, obviously, but there's such an appeal to Texas, whether it be education or culture or cost of living. I think one of the reasons why veterans specifically flock to Texas, and again specifically San Antonio, it has a lot to do with all of those various aspects. How can they build a better life, perhaps for their children, for their family? What are the educational benefits? Texas is just such a pro-military state. They really do care about their veterans. Not to say that other states don't care about their veterans, but there's this unique sort of passion that you find here in Texas for veterans, for active duty personnel, for those who just appreciate the military. And that's one of the appeals as to why we'd love to return to Texas. Obviously, my wife is from Dallas. We have a lot of family still in southeast Oklahoma and the Dallas area. It would be a lot of fun to come back to Texas.
So as far as coming back to Texas, a particular event in 2011 is popping out on my mind. That was my first visit to Texas. You have something special going on that went on that day in Texas.
We sure did, Chris. And sweetheart, if you're watching this show, I know I'm probably looking like a dork and I'm putting you on the spot here, but I love you. And 2011 will always be a year that is true and near and dear to my heart. My wife and I were married here in the Hill Country in just outside of San Antonio. And again, just the appeal, the uniqueness of the atmosphere here in San Antonio. Again, we were married in November of that year.
Yeah, but the atmosphere, you mean the humidity and the heat, right?
The community and the heat.
No, the humidity and the heat.
Yes.
Yeah, the humidity and the heat.
And it wasn't that bad, if I recall. It was an evening wedding, thankfully. But just the San Antonio and the surrounding cities, such as Bernie. Shout out to Bernie. Thank you for allowing us to get married. And it was just a beautiful time of year. I don't think you can beat Texas throughout the year, period. Although right now with the Texas heat, it's maybe less than desirable, but it's not that bad.
I use the weather.com map, and you look at the map of the whole U.S. It's red. The whole thing's red.
Whole thing.
So Texas isn't that bad as compared to everywhere else right now. So you had some meetings in Dallas. You were kind of centered around the Dallas area the last couple of days. How'd those meetings go? Were any new partnerships in the making, do you think?
You know, Chris, great question. For all Lazy Labbers, obviously, as you know, we keep everything public. You know, we don't hide things within Lazy Lab. We talk about our partnerships. We talk about our supporters. And we thank our supporters, I would argue, it daily. You know, we're very grateful for the support that you give to us as a nonprofit.
This coffee right here, that coffee right there, Ubora.
Thank you, Philip. Hey, salute you, buddy. So, no, the meaningful relationships that were had were wonderful. Great conversations. I don't want to necessarily give anything away yet, obviously, but the last 48 hours proved very fruitful for Lazy Lab. And what I mean by fruitful for the audience, for you, Chris, it is not that we personally are gaining any monetary value, right? No profit goes to anyone who's a staff member on Lazy Lab. But for the organization as a whole, we were able to agree upon various partnerships, way aheads, new events for calendar year 23 and beyond. So we're not just looking at what's left here in calendar year 22, but calendar year 23 is almost booked, to be quite frank with you, buddy. Fishing trips in Ohio, hunting trips in California, hunting trips here in Texas, looking at taking veterans and active duty personnel to Puerto Rico and Alaska, sail fishing, caribou hunting. There's a lot in store for us in 23.
Now, another thing that's come up in preparation for 23 is we have a new staff member.
You know, God bless her. I absolutely love this individual. She's such a leader, former Marine, or excuse me, you're never a former Marine, you're still always a Marine. But Rachel Walker, hey, salute you. Thank you very much.
So one thing that you see if you see our giving page on our website is that we take great pride in the proportion of funds that go to our core mission. You know, Matt and DJ DeRozier started Lazy Lab Hunting Club some 16 years ago, ish, 12 years?
So 2008, well, really 2004 is when the concept of Lazy Lab started, and then 2008 is when we said, hey, we're going to be that private outreach. So, yeah, 2008, really.
And since that time, you know, for a long time there was just Matt and DJ by themselves, just two guys making it happen. And, you know, since then, Matt's taken a total of $0 in salary, in gratuity, in anything other than just repaying actual expenses. $0. $0 to him, $0 to DJ, $0 to me, $0 to anybody on Lazy Lab. And that's how we are able to give so large a portion of every donation to our core goal, which is healing hurting veterans and their families. And so finding new ways to forge new ground, if you will.
Absolutely. The beauty of that event, Chris, truly is that for all our Lazy Labbers, our staff, our board of directors, they are scattered throughout various parts of the United States. So we don't have a brick and mortar facility where we can come in every morning and see each other and have in-person meetings. But I think that's a good thing.
Which is why this particular meeting right here is so unusual.
It's very special.
I see Matt 2 or 3 times a year in person, and here we are. In case it's a secret here, this is my home. This is where I live. We welcomed Matt to my home last night for the first time ever.
And it's a beautiful home, buddy. I'm very happy for you that you came to Texas and you are now an official Texan. So we just need to get you some horses and cattle.
Boots and spurs.
Boots and spurs. We'll get you those.
Yeah. So anyway, you're saying so we don't have a brick and mortar store. There's no office or central location where we get to see each other daily or even monthly. And so that's part of the challenge of being a board of directors that's in Vermont, in Virginia, in Washington, in California, in New Mexico, all over the place. So you were saying.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be a very wonderful time to bring the team together as well as our supporters. So all of our supporters, donors throughout the years, thank you so much. But this is going to be a time where you get to meet those individuals who are working so diligently with the generosity that you've provided to Lazy Lab Hunting Club, and we're going to make that very well known. Again, people make a community, right? And one of the things that I love about the Lazy Lab family, and I believe we really are a family. It doesn't matter if you've been a recipient of one of our hunting and fishing trips, or if you're part of the staff or board of directors. We truly are this loving family, this community that want to continue serving others. And I tip my hat to everyone on the board, Chris, yourself included, all the tactical staff, all of our volunteers. Not on the board. We have a separate board of directors. Chris is obviously our chief operations officer, and the driving force truly behind our staff is you, buddy. And so I thank you for that every day. So we're looking forward to, again, bringing that family together and propelling forward, all full speed ahead in 23, 24, and beyond. So
in naval terms, that'd be flank speed.
All ahead flank. So never going astern, guys. So it'll be a good time. So
Everything I know about Navy, phrases and things there, I learned from Hunt for Red October. That was my Navy. Hunt for Red October and JAG. Those two.
JAG, greatest show ever. Greatest show ever. I grew up wanting to be Harmon Reb Jr.
Oh, yeah.
So everybody did.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. To have the looks, the hair,
He was the man.
He was.
So Chris, I gotta ask you, buddy. I mean, we've talked a lot about Lazy Lab. We've spoken to the audience here about what the future will potentially hold in 23 and beyond. I'd like to know what's in store for you in 23 and beyond. So you came to Texas, you have a beautiful home here. Your wife and children are just doing fantastic here in Texas. But I've got to ask, what was really the appeal for you to come to Texas? Was it, just the community? Was it the sense of the Bible Belt, the Southern hospitality? What was it for you specifically, buddy?
Man, it was definitely a combination of all those things. Like I said previously, the only time I came to Texas before we decided to consider moving here was for your wedding. And that was a great introduction to the state, because I'd always had the impression of desert land. I didn't know there were trees. I didn't know Texas had trees and hills, if you will. I was expecting prairie, and you had your wedding here in hill country, and I was from the first time we landed, we flew into Austin, and we stepped on the jetway. It's like the humidity hits you. It's not gonna lie to you. It's shocking the first time you experience this kind of humidity. But there was just a different feel. This was again 2011. There was just a different feel in the air. People were genuinely nicer, and it wasn't. We're a couple of Californians, walking in. They never seemed nice to us, but they weren't. And we enjoyed that, and we had there was some good dining in preparation for your wedding and during and after it, and so that helped. Once we started thinking about moving here, we came down in October, November last year to look at actual homes, and once you got a feel for what the cost of living was here, once you got a feel for a different side of the community, being a looking homeowner, it's just a different feel. It's just a great place to be, and it hasn't disappointed. We've experienced that since we've been here. We've only been here about 6-8 months. But so what does 23 hold? Looking forward to helping to grow Lazy Lab beyond what you and DJ had ever thought possible in 08. Let's take this thing higher. Let's take this thing further. Looking at these new sites is going to enable us to do more trips for more people in a group we haven't got to touch in, an area we haven't got to touch yet. And maybe this thing will become more and more full time, and just new ways to get back.
Absolutely. No, I love that. I love the fact that you're looking forward to giving back even more so than you already have for veterans, active duty personnel, and their families. Giving back, doing good for others, it's contagious. I would argue it's contagious, and it makes you feel good, obviously. But one good deed that is shown, another person will mirror that and be like, hey, you know what? I want to do something good for others as well. So I hope, contagious is maybe a negative, way to consider it, but I hope that we keep the ball moving and continue to do good things, and others come along and say, hey, let's do good things together. I did have a question for you about Texas, though. What sort of advice in the moving process or any sort of lessons learned would you be able to give to veterans or anyone coming to Texas? Anything you thought you wish you would have done maybe a little bit differently to get here? Any sort of thoughts on that?
Yes. Number one, buy the supplemental insurance from your moving company. They will break something. And when they break it, you're going to get 60 cents per pound of the thing. If they break your laptop, you're getting 60 cents. Doesn't matter how much it's worth. You're getting 60 cents seriously. You're getting $1.20 for a laptop.
Oh.
If they break your couch, you get some money. But supplemental insurance. Go there every time. We had a very negative experience with our movie company. 0 stars, just 0 stars.
Oh, jeez.
Get a hotel and stay in the area for a few days.
Yeah.
Don't rush into a day or two, because if you're bouncing here and there and everywhere, you're not having time to relax and soak it in. And there's can be some very big differences in the feelings of the Austin metro area versus San Antonio versus Corpus Christi. You want beaches? Corpus Christi, maybe Houston. So just like California, you can have oceans on one day, or in one day you can have oceans and then hills with elevation like 100 feet. I mean, it's in one day. You're getting that kind of diversity from 0 feet to 100 feet. I mean, it's huge.
Yeah.
But anyway, differences in feelings between the metro areas. So spend some time in Austin. Spend some time in San Antonio metro or San Antonio outskirts. If you want more country living, then you're gonna get some good deals here. You're gonna get some good deals in Georgia, some good deals in South Carolina. I'm not a realtor, but
well, next time we'll bring on Alana Stry or Derek Jagers and let them talk about real estate and maybe the pros and cons of buying in Texas, vice Georgia or California or South Carolina. But I think you've done a great job here at what you've purchased, buddy. I love the hill country, obviously, and again, I tip my hat to you because it takes a lot of courage to go from an environment that you've grown up your entire life, pack up your family and move someplace else that really you've never experienced other than a handful of times, my wedding and so on and so forth. So again, it does take a lot of courage. So I commend you for that, buddy.
Speaking of courage, one thing that I was not courageous about, I'm going to admit this, was talking to my family about not my immediate family, but my parents and my grandparents, my aunts and uncles, about I'm leaving California to come to the center of the country, and I was quite literally agonizing over telling a particular member of my family, and I'm on my way home from work. This is still in California at the time. I'm on my way home from work, and I get a call from a family member saying that they were coming over our house to drop off some items, and I'm like, well, self, I guess today's the day. I guess I'm going to tell them today. And so I get home, and we're in the front room just shooting the breeze and having small talk and just catching up. And my little son, who was 8 at the time, says, "Oh, we're moving." And I'm like, I guess this is the.
He forced your hand.
He forced my hand, and the family member looked over and said, "Where are you moving to?" "Texas." And they look over at me. "Why would you do that?"
Why would you do that?
And in the end, it was a good thing, because frankly, I was kind of ashamed of how uncourageous I was in giving this news, and it's hard news to give a family that you're going to be moving away and be much less accessible, and all the veterans that are watching this. That's just a very small taste for me of what you guys have to deal with on every deployment, to know that you're not only going away from home, but to a war zone potentially. And so, tip of the hat big time for having to do that, every year in your career.
I say on that point, Chris, I say to people that the armed service community, we are the modern day nomads. So typically, all of us can relate. Every 2 to 3 years, we're typically packing up and we're moving. I'll be PCSing here shortly to Virginia in December, obviously, after 3 years in San Diego, 3.5 years in San Diego. And we've never been stationed in Virginia. And we are literally going clear across to the other side of the country to really start a new life, a new job for me, new schools for my kids, a new set of challenges await us, especially for my wife. Getting the kids in school, getting them in sports. So, again, I salute all the military spouses in this world, because I would argue that the burden falls on them for the majority of the moves. So it is hard. It is very difficult to pack up somewhere that you've lived and established yourself. And for you, it was literally decades in California to come to a new place. On a little bit of a lighter side, though, I've got to ask the question, because this is a point of contention between my wife and I. And again, I love you, sweetheart, but Cali Mex versus Tex-Mex. So California Mex, for those who don't know, it's a lot of fish tacos, a lot of queso fresco, where here in Texas, it's a lot of black beans. So, what are you thinking? Is it, black beans versus refried beans? Is it, queso fresco and fish versus steak? What are your thoughts?
So here, the trouble is that most of my dining with the way that if I'm dining out, it's likely at Taco Cabana, which is it's similar to Taco Bell, or it's Whataburger. I haven't. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't. We haven't gone to any truly Tex-Mex places. We did eat at Cheddar Kitchen, or Cheddar Scratch Kitchen, down just outside San Antonio, when my sister came up to visit us, which was just a couple weeks ago, and that was great.
That was great.
Yeah, that was the first not chain restaurant that we've gone to, and it was good for a fair price and great atmosphere. So I'm looking forward to finding more places like that.
Awesome. I've got to tell you, so again, my family is, at least on my wife's side, they're from Dallas. My mother grew up in southeast Oklahoma, a small town called Tallahassee, for a number of years. So that northeast portion of Texas feels a lot like home. And for all of our viewers, and for Chris, if you make it up to Dallas, go to a taco shop called Torchy's. That is kind of our family staple. Amazing tacos, very unique tacos as well. So Torchy's in Dallas, right across the street from Southern Methodist University, which is a gorgeous school, by the way. One of the things that I love doing here in Texas is heading to the various universities. SMU, for example, Baylor, UT Austin, these are all gorgeous schools and great opportunities for kids moving forward to go to college. So absolutely amazing. Well, Chris, what else do we need to tell our viewers today? Is there anything else that we can think of? I think the future is very bright for Lazy Lab. For all of you watching, again, thank you for your support in allowing us to continue to serve. To date, I think what we've accomplished 35 adventures for veterans and active duty personnel and dependents to date, and that number is going to continue to grow. Very excited about that, but I leave it up to you, Chris. Anything else?
Our goal for 23 is to get much closer to reaching out to touching 500 veterans. When we hit that 500 number, that's going to be a major victory. Yes. We're very careful to not just be checkout numbers on a list, but having personal one-on-one relationships with these people that continue past the hunt day or the fish day. So I'm looking forward to that.
Chris, you touched on a really good point. Unfortunately, in the veteran community, and we talk about the 22 suicides a day, active duty personnel veterans, they'll be at a low. They may be, inclined to depression or some sort of self-doubt. But when they come on trips such as ours with Lazy Lab, they're riding such a high. It's such an adrenaline rush. But then after the event is over, unfortunately, human nature, they fall back into a state of depression and disarray. And that's what we're trying to prevent. So it's not just Lazy Lab, we take you on a trip and then we say farewell. You are still part of the Lazy Lab family. We're going to check up on you. We're going to see how can we help you continue to move forward in your walk, whether it be spiritually, emotionally, physically. Can we help get you a job? You're still part of that family. You're never forgotten just because the event has concluded. So, and I think that's very important because we see a lot of men and women, brothers and sisters in arms, fall back into that state of depression, and then we don't hear from them. We are trying to prevent that. We do not want our recipients to be one of those 22 a day.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway, hey, thank you for spending time listening to us just kind of chatter here on my porch. If you'd like to come on board and help us out, please visit LLHC.org/give. We'll make every cent that you give count, and we'll be using it to help to heal lots of veterans who are hurting. So if you can give us a monthly recurring donation of $10, of $100, $1,000, whatever it is that you can comfortably give, we invite that. We would love to take your money and honor the donation. So unless there's anything else.
Chris, with this being such a unique opportunity, and I think our audience would appreciate this, we are a faith-based organization. As you see in our logo, you see the cross. That's something that's, our core values, our cornerstone, if you will, is our faith in God. And that's something that is not going to change, at least while I'm still acting as president and CEO of Lazy Lab. So I'd like to take this time to pray on camera. Please, I invite you to pray with us. Please take off your hats. I'm going to take my hat off, even though I just woke up and I'm a little bit disheveled, obviously. But I invite you to join me in prayer.
Your beard looks a little bit out of native.
This is out of regs. I'm on leave, y'all. I'm on leave, so don't judge me too hard. I know Matt Kuchera is watching this right now. Yeah. He's saying, shipmate, you need to shave and get a haircut. But yeah, please join me in prayer, y'all, and let's pray for those who we intend to help, and the future for America really is what we need to do. So please join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for this day. We thank you for this opportunity for Chris and I to come together here in beautiful South Texas. I pray for his family and their transition, their pivot out here, because it is challenging. It's a new adventure out here for him, he and his family. And I also pray for those who are continuing to move, whether it be to Virginia, Texas, out of state, to an environment where they really have just an unknown presence, Lord. I pray for your guidance and your wisdom upon them. As far as Lazy Lab Hunting Club goes, Lord, I pray for the success of our organization. I pray for our program and the staff and the volunteers. We look to serve you by loving people, and that's all people, all Americans, and hopefully we have an impact around the world, Lord. So we pray for your guidance, your wisdom, your understanding, and your blessings. Allow us to serve you by loving people. We thank you so much for this day. And for anyone who needs love, whoever needs out there who needs encouragement or prayer, please let them know that there are those individuals who in organizations that look to help them. We are an ear for them, Lord. Please allow them to have the courage to reach out and ask for help if they need it, Lord. We thank you for this day. We thank you for these blessings. And all God's people said, amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, until next time, Matt, cheers.
Cheers, brother.